Hello people, in this video I'm going to present you the new SRT Gearbox version 9.1. In the first part I'm going to summarize what it is all about. Then in the second part I'm going to explain what is the difference between the version 9.0 and the version 9.1. And then in the third part we are going to go for a ride. Okay, let's get started. If you are new here, by the way, welcome. The SRT Gearbox is a DIY project I've been working on for quite a few years now. The first publicly released version was the version 8. A year and a half ago, I released the version 9.0, and here it is, the version 9.1. So it is an H-pattern gearbox that also does sequential, and basically it is the best gearbox in the world. I'm going to explain you why I said that, what it's probably true. So first, it is a DIY project where you can just adjust everything you want. Just for the front to rear movement, you have three different fittings. You have accurate, clunky, and neutral. Clunky is for all style cars, neutral for common cars, and accurate for quite high-end exporting cars. I'm thinking to by example the 911 Porsche Touring. Then you have 5 different levels of resistance from softest to hardest. You can also adjust the preload for the left to right movement, and you can also swap all the springs to make it harder or softer. And then if it's not enough, you can also do your own tracks and have definitely a custom thing. So it is the first reason why it's probably the best out there. It's just because you can do whatever you want. There is absolutely no limit.
The second reason why I think it is probably the best gearbox in the world is that it comes with so many extra features, like by example the button plate mode that adds buttons around the lever with some custom functions. It can be standard joystick buttons, but it can also be, by example here, I have the return key, escape key. I'm going to talk about this one later. This one to go back to the desktop, decrease volume, increase volume. There is more than 20 different functions for this mode. Then you have the joystick mode here. It acts as a joystick, and if you keep it pressed down, it swaps to mouse behavior. So very handy to use, and a simple push is obviously a click. And here, probably the most popular, the e-clutch mode. What it does is that it locks the gearbox when you don't press on the clutch pedal. So here the gearbox is free, but I'm going to remove the power just to move it. Now it is locked. So you're gonna see later how it works in game. And there is also some other extra features. Quite quickly, you can plug pedals, you can plug a button box, and you can also plug an e-flag and handbrakes, so many things.
And if it's not enough, some people even design some extra mods for the gearbox because you can have access to the CAD files, so you can design your own mods. As I said, it is a DIY project, but it's been designed from the beginning to be as easy as possible to do. And from the beginning, from the earliest versions, the documentation is, in my honest opinion, extremely well made. It is maybe similar to, if you know this project, the OpenSFX project or things like that, when you have something highly detailed for the shopping list, for the assembly. Here you have videos on YouTube on how to assemble the gearbox. At each step, the video shows you which screw you need, which component you need. It shows you some tips to have the best feeling. You know, at the first glance, you can think, well, there is so many parts, it seems to be extremely complicated with the electronics, the software, those kind of things. And in fact, not at all, because all the informations are located just at the right place at the right time. And in fact, all the people that tried to make this gearbox succeed. You know, they have their gearbox and they enjoyed building it, because you don't struggle thinking things like, okay, this part, I have this part here, where does it go? No, you don't have this problem, because you have videos that shows you everything about the parts. You know, I don't like DIY projects where the shopping list, there is like 100 different things to order at 100 different places. And here what I did is that I'm working with an AliExpress shop that provides a kit that includes, well, maybe 80% of the parts that goes inside the gearbox. So in the end, you don't have so many parts to order, you don't have so many page to check, so many things to learn on or anything. And once again, it was really one of my first goals when I started to work on this project. Okay, last thing, the reliability. You know, when people see my project, most of the time they think, okay, it's made out of 3D printing, it can't be reliable. Okay, two things. First, yes, it is relying on 3D printing, but you have a lot of industrial grade stuff inside. Just by example, this shaft, it is 12 millimeter from hardened steel, you know, some weird materials that are extremely tough. I remember one day I tried to drill a hole inside it. I wasn't able to scratch it. And it's the same in everywhere in the gearbox. Here you have a long custom shaft that is 10 millimeter. So you have bearings everywhere. So yeah, a lot of metal stuff. And something similar, you know, to the Alban SFX project, where yes, you have 3D printing, but it is around a lot of industrial grade stuff. It's the same thing here. Second thing, well, 3D printing can be very tough. As you can see, for the main body, you have two parts. This one is body 1, this one is body 2. And you can see that this one is so strong that I can stand on it. I'll show you. Okay, body 1, right? Let's stand on it. And I'm not cheating. Okay, my hands are here. Hello. So I'm standing on body 2. No problem about it. It doesn't move. No problem. So you can guess that if I can stand on one part that isn't assembled, well, there is no problem when everything is tied together. The third reason why, yeah, I said two, but there is a third one about the demanding sessions. As you can see, there is holes quite everywhere. It is based on 50 or 40 patterns, so for most aluminum extrusions you get out there. It is designed to be mounted on the side, like on my own gearbox, because it will be the strongest solution, but it can also mount it by the bottom, once again 50 or 40 millimeter pattern. And the thing is, you know, this thing is already quite strong, and believe me or not, it is already heavier than 2 kilos, just like this. And once the aluminum extrusions is on the side where it's strengthened, all the gearbox make it stiffer, stronger, and virtually unbreakable. So if you are interested in this project, please check the link in the description. Now we will talk about more specifically to the version 9.1 9.1. But for starting, the version 9.0 is available for free. Once again, check the link in the description. And the version 9.1 is available for my Patreons. And I think it's the right time to thank my Patreons because thanks to their contributions, I can work on more projects and bigger projects. So thank you guys, and please subscribe to the channel if you want to be warned when a new project is released. There is really some crazy things that are incoming. Okay, let's see what is new on the version 9.1. I won't show you everything, but the idea is to show you how much work was put inside this new version. So just generally speaking, I worked a bit on the aesthetic. I added chamfer edges quite everywhere to make it look less massive. But that's not something really important. The important thing is that body one was merged with the rear bearing order. There is many benefits to this. The first thing is, except for the aesthetic side, it is stiffer, stronger, only faster to print, and it ensure that the elements are correct. You know, when you board some parts together, you are never sure that they are perfectly aligned. So now the rear bearing order is merged with body one, so we don't have to care about it anymore. And once again, it is stronger. As you can see, you have some holes here. It is for the aesthetic, but also to be able to put a tool inside, to tight the bolt that is here. So let's continue. On crank, there isn't so many difference. It is very, very minor. The base lever has been a bit redesigned. In fact, it is the work of Ecor Z that made a mod for the previous version that includes those guiding screws there. And before it was a standard screw with tapes around it, and that it wasn't that good. And now you have those guiding screws, and I tried so many different designs to make something good, because I don't want to use his mod, because I'm the kind of guy that want to do all the stuff on its own. But I have to admit that his design is the best. So with his allowance, I integrated his mod inside the version 9.1, and it's not exactly the same drawing, but definitely the idea is its own. Okay, let's move on. Here, the preload system has been redesigned. Now you have inside you have the screw push on the crank, and it makes the preload move this way, and it preloads the springs here. I wasn't satisfied with the previous design because I think it wasn't totally fixed, and all in all it wasn't adjustable once in place. So here you use an Allen wrench and you can tight. It's quite hard to show, but if I, for example, untight, maybe you will see that the preload is coming in contact with crank. So yeah, you need a tool, but at least it works. On turn, well, a lot of work to make it smoother, to reduce the friction, but nothing more, even if it's a lot of work because you have to test all those designs and compare them together. But yeah, that's the only thing. And in the end, I chose a free shaft designed. That's something you can do on the version 9.0. You can remove one shaft and check if it's better for you. On turn, nothing very important. And now we go back to body 2, that big part here. So one of the first change I made is here. You can see the parts here,
It is what does the H-pattern layout, you know. And previously it was separated from body 2 and now it has been merged, so you don't have, you know, screws to put below, so it is faster to assemble, less screws, better alignments, better stiffness, so quite a lot of benefits to this. Also, I worked a lot to make it possible to integrate the servo motor here. The servo motor comes like this here, and you can put back the cover. And on the version 9.0, the servo motor was way out of body 2, so it wasn't that aesthetic. So now it is, I think, acceptable, even if it's a bit breaking, you know, the front design, but it's okay. And I designed a cover for people that don't want to use the e-clutch a bit later. So, and doing this, I had to redesign the mechanism for the e-clutch. You can see here the hole for the slider. So if you have the e-clutch, a screw goes inside the hole and lock the slider. By the way, let's talk about the slider right now. So I'm going to put it out to show you. As you can see, it is easy to remove. I'll show you also how to swap to sequential for H after that. So something new is that the tracks are separated, and there is mostly two reasons for that. First, it allows to print each track with the best orientation for smoothness. And then it also allows to use different tracks. As you can see here, I have the medium on clunky feeling, and the sequential one is medium, and you can mix them together as you want. On slider, there was also quite a lot of work. First, a fix on the geometry that wasn't totally correct. The way tracks are mounted, as you can see, it snaps inside. And you can also, if you want, add screws to be sure that it won't move. But in my experience, it's not necessary. But as you know, with 3D printing, it's not always the same tolerances. So sometimes you may need them. But once again, I never used them. This thing here, it is for sequential. It's been just a bit changed too. But I think that's all on slider. So I can put it back. As you can see, you have an arrow here that shows you the right way to mount it, and it goes back inside quite easily. So as you can see, it's not that long to swap the tracks if you want to change the feeling. To swap from sequential to H, you have to be in the neutral position. You have to press on this part, carriage, and you turn the slider. And I think I'm not exactly in neutral here. Okay, here I'm good. And as you can see, it is extremely quick. You don't have to do anything on the electronic side. It is automatic. Carriage has been also a bit redesigned to improve the smoothness. Nothing in the end, the design isn't that different, but once again, it takes so much time, you know, to try many designs, print them, mount them, compare them. So it was quite a lot of work. Okay, so before starting, I am a Assetto Corsa. Just want to show you all the things here, how it works. So once again, I have my buttons here. So enter key, escape key, and I have the joystick mode here. It's not as handy as a real mouse, as you can guess, but you know it does the work. And when you have a machine rig, or you are playing in VR and you can't have a mouse, near, it's really something very cool. And as you can see, I just have right under my hand, it's handy to grab. So a really nice mod here. And the thing is, if you press it, it does a click, but if you keep it pressed, it swaps to joystick mode, left, right, and once again, press it down and it goes back to mouse behavior. So really nice feature. Enter, escape. As you can see, I can go back to the desktop, something very handy to use. NDA clutch, I'll show you there because it is a tiny mechanism and I won't be able to show you when driving. You can adjust it directly in SimHub. It is using SimHub, the custom protocol feature. And as you here, sorry if I don't show you the pedal. So as you can see, when I press the clutch pedal, it moves the whole mechanism and it unlocks the gearbox. So here, locked, ready locked, I can't. And as you can see, once I start to press the clutch pedal, it unlocks the system. So one thing you can't do with any other gearbox out there is you can preload the lever and then, and as you can see, it is very accurate. It's not something, 1 second delay or something. It is working perfectly. And it really changes everything. There is a few options for this. So by example here, I don't have to entirely press the clutch pedal to unlock the system. I have a dead zone in the end because on the rear car you don't necessarily have to fully press the clutch pedal to be able to release the mechanism. So I really wanted to show you the system here because as you can see it's a very tiny system and it's not easy to shoot. Okay, so let's go on track. I'm sorry, it is a tiny room here. It's very hard to shoot the gearbox, to find the right angle, so I'll do my best, but that's what we get. Okay, so let's go. Once again, it's just working. I can't change gears. If I want to disable the system, no problem. I push on this button and it's off. Now I can change gears as I want. I'm putting it back on and let's get started. So here I think I have the accurate track. There is something very accurate and in the end easier to use. So I think I am in the soft harness. To give you maybe an idea, the softest track I guess is a bit harder yet than the Logitech shifter, and maybe once again to give you a reference point, the medium track is about the same as the AliExpress gearbox. Most of the time people start with the hard or hardest track because they think, I'm building this badass gearbox, this massive gearbox because I'm a tough guy and I want a hard track. And in the end, that's not necessarily a good idea because believe me, it's very hard to drive with the hard track or the hardest track because it is so hard, and when you are braking, you need to change gears quite quickly, and in the end you become so slow compared to other people that are using common H-pattern gearbox or often paddle shifters. So yeah, in my experience, soft or medium is good enough. Even more if you are using the E-clutch, and with the E-clutch you can't do whatever you want. You can't
change gears everywhere, every time. So it becomes even harder, to synchronize everything, changing the gears, pushing on the clutch, on the brake, etc. So you really want to have something that isn't that hard. I didn't say, but you can order this lever with 3 different lengths, and depending on the lever length, it also increase or decrease the overall resistance. But yeah, it worked. It's great. As you can see, it's very tough. I don't. How can I say? I can. I can't break it, and it doesn't move. If you see something moving, it's not the gearbox. It's the whole. The way it is mounted. And as you can see, it's already quite tough. It is an 8040 extrusion. You have here mounting plates, and I reinforced what is under it, with more brackets, etc. Because it is the thing that was moving, but the gearbox itself, it is rock solid. And once again, when I started to work on the gearbox, obviously I had a look at what was already out there available. And one thing I really didn't like with most of the gearbox I saw everywhere is the way it is mounted. Most of the time, it's, how can I say, it is laying flat on something. I won't mention, the iron gearbox that is very fancy, but you buy fancy stuff, okay, it looks crazy awesome, and then you mount it on your rig and it doesn't look like anything, and the way it's mounted isn't stiff at all, and I really don't like it. That's it's really something I wanted to avoid. And as you can see here, it can integrate your rig quite nicely in the end. I was even thinking about designing a small drawer. I don't know how we call it in English. In the car, the place where you put your keys, something like a pocket. I don't know. In French, it is vide poche. It means empty your pocket. I don't know in English. Anyway, yeah, it integrates quite nicely. It's a bit, I'll be honest, it's a bit, it requires a bit of work because the screws comes by the inside of the gearbox. But when you build the gearbox, you get to know it perfectly, and in the end you exactly know where you have to put those bars, and mounting the gearbox isn't a real problem. Another thing, I'm saying it's the best gearbox in the world. It's Alpha Jock. It is obviously a great gearbox. It's not necessarily the best, even if I think it is. But one flaw, I have to admit that it is a flaw. It isn't a minor flaw, and I have to fix this. It is the noise. Depending also on the resistance you choose, but yeah, it does quite some noise. Let's be honest. If you are playing with a loud system, it's not a problem. If you are wearing an headset, it's an headphone, it's not a big problem too. But if you don't and you have your family in the room next to you, it becomes a real problem. So it is something I will work on it in the future. Okay, you are still there. So I think that's it for the H-pattern mod. I didn't talk about it, but the reverse gear is on the 6. You press the lever down and you go on 6. So you can't switch to reverse by accident. Okay, the sequential now, before going on track, just wanted to show you the joystick here. Very handy to use if you want to navigate in the menus. Let's get started. Just to swap from here, I am in sequential. Oh, sorry, H-pattern. I am in H-pattern, and to switch from sequential, it takes 1 second. I mean, here, and we are in sequential. And I don't have anything to do on the software side. Okay, let's go. The sequential mode has been improved compared to what it was in the version 9.0. It will never be as good as a dedicated sequential shifter. Obviously, when I say it's the best gearbox in the world, I'm talking to the H-pattern mode, not the sequential mode. It's good, it does the work, but it will never be as good, once again, as a true dedicated sequential shifter. You can, I think here it is the medium resistance. Once again, you have 3 levels of resistance for the sequential track. You can enable the E-clutch on sequential too. Here it's disabled because you need to unlock the mechanism to be able to switch from one mode to the other. But I can put it back now. Another thing, you know, always people say to me, with this kind of gearbox on this car, you don't have to press the clutch pedal to shift up or shift down or whatever. It could be implemented in the gearbox, but the problem is that I can tell the gearbox, okay, on this car you can unlock at 1000 RPM or things like that. And in my opinion, it's definitely something developers should implement in the games. I mean, they could output the information about the locking of the gearbox. And I'm pretty sure they have the information because now on a lot of titles, when you shift without pressing the clutch pedal, you have a noise, something. They know when you have the right to shift or not. And the funny thing is that I can swap from sequential to H-pattern in the straight. So it really shows that it's quick, it's handy to use. Most of the time you need 2 hands, but sometimes even just with 1 hand you can achieve this. So that's really something nice to have on your rig. And I definitely prefer the H-pattern to the sequential too. I have to admit that. Okay, so I think that's it. I think I showed you everything. So I hope you liked the video and now you understand why I think it's the best gearbox in the world. Once again, if you are interested in this project, check the link in the description. Check the documentation, check how it's made. It's a very awesome project to make. Please subscribe to the channel and I see you soon.